Now at 6 and streaming on crossroadstoday.com, a Lavaca County double murder case heads to trial. We'll have a look at the timeline. Plus, a Victoria homeowner faces a $20,000 repair bill, but who's to blame? And Victoria maps out new transit routes, how residents can influence the plan.
The rain that we had today and the rain that we're going to have for most of this week. All that coming up in just a moment.
Tonight we have Tuesday night volleyball action all across the Crossroads. We'll give you the full rundown later on in sports.
You're watching 25 News Now at 6. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Shauna Curry. Don Brubaker is on assignment. A trial date is set for a Lavaca County murder case. This stems from a head-on crash that killed 2 people in 2022. Connor Ratcliffe is accused of intentionally causing the wreck, killing his 19-year-old cousin Colson Jacobs and Jacobs' girlfriend, 18-year-old Lauren Miller. The trial will start in January of next year. A Victoria woman facing 7 felony counts of mail theft, forgery, and drug charges will have to wait longer to find out her case. A plea hearing was scheduled for 28-year-old Corey Ray Trevino today, but the court has now scheduled a new administrative hearing on October 17th. She has been out on bond since being indicted in March. A Victoria homeowner says rainwater is wreaking havoc on her property and she's fighting to make things right. 25 News Now reporter Ray Mosley joins us now. And Ray, you spoke with her today. What did you learn?
Yes, Shauna, local resident Cindy Cryer says she has to pay thousands of dollars to repair her home after dealing with drainage issues for years. It all started after her neighbor rebuilt their house. A house built 3 feet higher than others is causing major problems for neighbors. Cindy Cryer lives on Buena Vista Avenue. The height difference between her home and the one next door causes rainwater to drain towards her foundation, causing damage and even shifting her home.
When it rains, obviously her house basically is like on a hill, so when it rains downhill and the rain comes our way.
The neighboring house was built 3 years ago after damage from Hurricane Harvey. Cryer claims the builder didn't put the proper runoff damage for the home, causing the water to deteriorate her foundation and shift her home. She spent $20,000 on repairs and is looking for reimbursement, saying she doesn't feel responsible for the damage caused. Cryer says she tried to get help from the city, the Texas General Land Office, and the builder, but has hit a dead end. We reached out to all these offices and we're waiting to hear back. Shauna?
Thank you, Ray. Well, agriculture is a huge part of life here in the Crossroads, and rainfall makes a big impact on the area's farming community. Too much rain, not enough rain, either way, it makes a big difference for our farmers. Victoria County AgriLife Extension agent Kara Matheny says when it comes to rainfall, it's not just about how much or little we get, but it's all about timing.
Timing is always the challenge, right? So when we get closer to harvest season, our farmers are not a big fan of the fields being wet. So it does introduce new challenges. But farmers and ranchers are the most resilient members of community you'll ever meet. And so they're pretty strategic in figuring out ways to manage those challenges as they present themselves.
Matheny says cotton, hay, and corn are doing well in Victoria County, but bigger supplies mean prices are expected to dip slightly from last year. Well, now let's take a first look at our weather with Chief Meteorologist Mac Perez. And Mac, we saw a pretty good amount of rain today. Is this going to continue, or will we start seeing more drier weather?
Yes, we are actually in a rainy period for today, tomorrow, and the next day, and that we'll be talking about. We'll also be taking a look at Erin. Erin's now making its move along the Atlantic coast. We'll see how close it comes and what happens after that. All that coming up in just a moment, so stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Well, do you have a pothole that you're dodging every day? We found these potholes at South and Liberty Streets. If you have one, send us a photo or video of the pothole that you're dealing with, and we'll get on the next pothole patrol and check in next week to see if it sparked action. All you have to do is email us at staff@crossroadstoday.com. The Golden Crescent Regional Planning Commission is planning to expand expand Victoria Transit routes and help riders get where they need to go more quickly. The City of Victoria is asking for your input on those changes. You can check out the proposed map, suggest stops, and fill out a short survey online by October 31st. That survey can be found at victoriatx.gov/transit plan. The new routes are set to launch in early 2026. And here's our viewer poll tonight. Which new transit stop would help you the most? Would it be around shopping areas, medical facilities, schools or colleges, or within neighborhoods and around housing? Right now, 56% of you feel that in neighborhoods and around housing areas, adding more stops there would be beneficial. So definitely something to voice within those surveys so that the city has that feedback. But we want to hear from you. So visit crossroadstoday.com/vote to take part in our viewer poll. And we'll have another look at the numbers on 25 News Now at 10. The White House says plans are underway for a possible meeting between Vladimir Putin and Ukraine's Vladimir Zelensky. Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt wouldn't share details, but says Putin has promised talks in the coming weeks. So far, Moscow has not confirmed anything, and the Kremlin is not committing to a meeting. Fred Pleitgen has more from Moscow.
Yeah, the Kremlin, the Russian foreign minister, really not being committal so far on wanting a bilateral meeting between Volodymyr Zelensky, the president of Ukraine, and Vladimir Putin, or that trilateral meeting afterwards either. It was quite interesting because, of course, yesterday you had that phone call between President Trump and Vladimir Putin as those meetings were going on in D.C. And even then afterwards, the readout coming from the Russians was quite different than what President Trump was saying. The Russians certainly remain non-committal to having those meetings. Even yesterday, a senior Kremlin aide came out and said that the Russians and the U.S. had agreed to continue consultations between the Ukrainians and the Russians. Those, of course, have already been going on so far to very little effect. And all the Russians have been saying so far is that it was discussed to possibly raise the level of the representatives, which could obviously mean to the top level of the president, but could also mean a variety of other things. And then today, there was an interview by Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov with Russian state media, where he also appeared to pour at least cold water on something like this happening quickly or the Russians being committed to it. I want to read you really quick what Sergei Lavrov said in that interview. He said, any contacts involving top officials must be prepared with the utmost care, he said, and then we do not refuse any form of work, neither bilateral or trilateral. So the Russians are saying it's something that could happen, not necessarily something that will happen. That, of course, has been their line for quite an extended period of time. One of the things that Vladimir Putin had said before the summit in Alaska took place is that he said that he was never completely against meeting Volodymyr Zelensky, but at the same time a meeting like that needed to be prepared and there needed to be several things taken into consideration. And he believed that a meeting like that was still very far off and that the conditions for such a meeting simply had not yet been met. One of the things that also makes it quite difficult for the Russians to agree to such a meeting is that Russian state media, but also the Kremlin itself, has painted Volodymyr Zelensky as an illegitimate president because, of course, there haven't been elections in Ukraine. The Russians walking back from that a little bit now, saying that such a meeting is possible, but certainly at this point in time, at least, not saying that a meeting like that is in the books anytime soon, certainly not within the next week or two, as some have said who attended those meetings in Washington, D.C. yesterday.
A source familiar with the decision said General David Alvin's abrupt announcement came after he learned Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth planned to push him out of his job. The latest Pentagon shakeup marks yet another early ouster of a senior military officer under Hegseth and President Donald Trump. Alvin is the fourth to leave since the beginning of Trump's second term. The Air Force issued a statement on Alvin's plans to retire, but did not explain why he is leaving just 2 years into his term. One defense official called Alvin's announcement, quote, very unexpected. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today. Hit the like button and click the notification bell. Stay with us. Coming up on 25 News Now at 6, a controversial cleanup in the nation's capital, why some say it brings order while others call it cruel. Plus, as severe weather grows more extreme, what experts say needs to change about the way we prepare. ordered federal authorities and troops into Washington, D.C. Since then, many homeless encampments have been removed. Advocates say what the White House is doing is not solving the homelessness problem. Katie Lusso reports.
Along New York Avenue, crews from MPD and DPW cleared out yet another encampment.
President's treating us like we criminal. I'm not no criminal.
This is Joyce.
This is my best friend. He said, oh, we can get rid of these homeless bumps. These homeless bumps. I ain't no bum. I work. Where's my tax money where I put in when I was working?
She's been living on the streets for several months, just steps from where she stood heartbroken and watching.
What is unfolding is what should have happened years ago.
Mike, a lifelong DC resident who asked us not to show his face on camera, says it's about time.
It's just been a lot of chaos. People using the bathroom out here, people selling drugs all day long.
The area that was cleared out at the corner of New York Avenue and 8th Street in Northwest.
They should have a long time ago because you got tourists walking up and down here. You got City Center 2 blocks away where people are spending $1,000 and don't even feel safe coming back to their hotel rooms with the goods that they've just purchased there. You know what I mean?
The shelters are full. They can't take anymore.
We are playing human whack-a-mole.
Jesse Rabinowitz is with the National Homelessness Law Center. They fight for the rights of people experiencing homelessness.
By evicting encampments, they are guaranteeing to see more encampments. The government cleared an encampment in Union Station, which led to an encampment in Gompers Park, which was cleared that led to an encampment at Scott Circle.
So what is the solution?
The solution to homelessness is housing and support.
He says all this does.
They're losing their possessions, they're losing their dignity, they're getting disconnected from services, and we're making it harder for them to get out of homelessness.
He says the money to create solutions is there.
We have the money to solve homelessness. Instead of wasting it on militarizing our streets, we should focus on getting folks housing and support they need.
But until that happens, Joyce isn't sure what the future holds. Where do you go?
It's nowhere to go. Nowhere to go. When you don't get home, it's nowhere to go.
More than 650,000 people experienced being homeless on a single night in January 2023 across the nation. That's according to the National Alliance to End Homelessness. A federal judge in Miami has dismissed a key part of a lawsuit over immigrant detainees at the temporary Everglades facility known as Alligator Alcatraz. The judge said claims that detainees had no access to immigration courts are now moot after the Trump administration moved the hearings to a site near Miami. The case will continue on claims about confidential legal access. Separately, an environmental lawsuit is seeking to block more construction at the site. A federal judge put a 2-week hold on building, which ends later this week. Advocates say some Texas universities are misinterpreting the court ruling that bans undocumented students from receiving in-state tuition, leaving some students who should still qualify with confusing messages and sky-high tuition bills. To read this full Texas Tribune article, come to crossroadstoday.com. Hurricane Erin is churning up life-threatening rip currents and dangerous surf along much of the U.S. East Coast and will soon send destructive waves and storm surge to North Carolina's Outer Banks. As the first major hurricane of the Atlantic season swirls off the coast, it's an important reminder for everyone to stay prepared. Ivan Rodriguez has more.
As the planet warms, severe weather is becoming more extreme, with hurricanes intensifying faster and wildfires spreading farther. To protect ourselves from these increasing threats, researchers say disaster preparedness and the way people perceive threats and warnings need to change as well. The impact of Hurricane Erin is already being felt on U.S. coastlines. Around 90 rip current rescues were conducted in North Carolina Monday. In New Jersey, weather conditions are worsening.
We have a rip current warning, we have rough surf warning, we have storm warning, and conditions are bad.
Although Erin isn't forecast to make landfall, the strength of the storm serves as a reminder to prepare.
We always say when we talk about hurricanes, for example, don't wait until the storm warnings have been issued. It's too late.
Part of being prepared is building a kit of emergency supplies.
The toolkit doesn't need to be complex, but it should have specific things in there.
That includes medicine, critical documents, tools, at least a 3-day supply of food, as well as a hygiene and sanitation kit, according to FEMA. Mark Friedlander says another crucial piece is insurance.
Insurance is all about financial protection. So it's not just property insurance for your home, your condo, or your renter's policy if you're an apartment renter, but it's flood coverage.
Flooding isn't often covered in standard home insurance plans, so it's important to check your policy. Other ways to prepare your home before a storm include testing your shutters and securing your outdoor space.
The goal is to create a behavior to be prepared, not a reaction.
The National Hurricane Center is monitoring 2 other areas for possible tropical development in the same part of the Atlantic Aaron tracked through last week. The Atlantic hurricane season's most active stretch typically kicks off mid-August, and that's ringing true this year. In Atlanta, I'm Ivan Rodriguez.
We'll be taking a look at Aaron and the 2 storms or possible storms that are behind it coming up in just a few minutes. Right about now, we're at 83 degrees. We got some nice rain this afternoon. I liked it because it knocked the temperature from 84 to 72 in about an hour. So 87 was as warm as we got, and that was at 9 o'clock this morning. Of course, we only had 27/100ths of an inch of rain out at the airport, but it was something. Now, the next couple of days still will be unstable, and so we're looking for more of this activity. We'll talk about it and take a look at the tropics coming up after this. Welcome back, everybody. Well, yes, we did get the rain today. It actually started off in Louisiana last night. We talked about this. But the most important thing that you've got to consider is that the high pressure that was on top of us, that gave us all that hot, steamy days, that actually moved west. And as it moves west, well, it allows lower pressure, and that allows the storms to build with a little bit of heating during the day. Here's that big cluster that came right down 59 into our area and continues drifting south. This is going to happen again tomorrow. And also, there's this little frontal system here. Now, it's not a huge front, but it is a different air mass, and therefore this is going to enhance the rain potential for the next day or so. This frontal system will also help push this thing down a little bit farther, and in fact it's being encouraged by Edwin, who is it? Aaron. Aaron, that is rolling up the eastern seaboard, as you see right there. When Aaron gets up here, it's going to push a big northeast wind over much of the eastern part of the country, and that is going to give us a bit of a cool down. Now, it's not a big cool down, little cool down. There's Victoria. In the last hour, most of the shower activity around our area has settled down. There's still some stormy weather to the east and west, northwest of Houston, also something moving out of San Antonio, and it all continues moving southward, okay, because that's where the winds are taking all of these storms. Gotta thank my friend Isaac Solis, who took this photo before lunchtime, actually, just as the storms started rolling into the area, but this all came in coming down Highway 59 and into our area. You'll notice this is very interesting. Here's Victoria, probably a quarter of an inch right about there in the green. But the heavier rain, half an inch to an inch to the north of our area. There's Louise, Edna, Cordell, Vanderbilt. So pretty much to the north and east of us is where the heaviest rains did occur today. Now, Aaron, that's what I was trying to say. Aaron is now beginning its move out of the Bahamas. Will be going right up the eastern seaboard. You know, you saw the report a minute ago. I would just say this: if you get nervous, if you're concerned, you're scared, just go. Just evacuate. Seek higher ground. Lock up the house. Take the important things you want. And the really, 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 really important thing is pharmacy medicine. Because if you have a little bottle and you're almost out and you're gone for a week, where are you going to get a refill? That's the biggest concern that we all need to be ready for in case something like this happens. Well, Erin is going to be skirting right off the coast, probably 150 to 200 miles off the coast. So it's going to be very rough weather for the Outer Banks of North Carolina. They're going to have some pretty stormy days there. So will the Delmarva area, Chesapeake Bay, and probably even parts of New Jersey. But then you can see how the path takes it out to sea, and that will be very helpful. Now, behind it, we already have potential for F. This would be Ferdinand, which is expected to develop here and will follow Erin's path very carefully. And then over here we have G, which would be Gabrielle. That one is likely to develop and also follow the same path. So it sort of helps us out, but we've got two systems headed in our direction. So 30% chance for tomorrow afternoon again, and then it increases with that front getting closer to us on Thursday, Friday, and then the weekend, well, we just get back to the regular garden variety afternoon showers driven by the hot and humid weather. That's your 7-day forecast, reminding everybody we do have a QR code. Love for you to scan that, put Crossroads Today on your phone. Here's Shauna.
All right, from weather to sports, let's send it over to Max Williams.
Yeah, Sean, we got some big news earlier today. Former Texas A&M Victoria pitcher Mason Longoria will tell you what happened there coming up next in sports. Tuesday nights are known for volleyball here in the Crossroads, and we got a lot of teams competing all across the state of Texas. And first, we're going to highlight a tri-match that's out there at Industrial High School, where the Industrial Cobras are facing off between Cuero Gobblers and the Calhoun Sandies. And sports boy Ray Robinson is at Industrial to showcase how the action is going so far.
That's right, Max. On this Tuesday night at Industrial High School, you can expect to see some elite volleyball action with 3 of our Crossroads schools being showcased. And it was the Industrial Cobras to kick things off pretty strong. The Cobras opened things up with a 3-series matchup against the Cuero Gobblers. Both teams seemed like they were an even matchup despite the difference in size, but Industrial was always in control of the first matchup, never going down more than 2 points. The Cobras win game 1, final score 25-23. Game 2 is when the Cobras made some major adjustments in a big way. Same song, different tune. Final score 25-11. The Industrial Cobras did go on to secure the game 3 victory against Cuero. Final score 25-13. Now, just behind me is the Calhoun Sand Crabs. They're getting ready to take in on some of this trifecta of volleyball action. Coming up at 10, we'll have highlights showcasing the Calhoun Sand Crabs and a word from a few players and some coaches. Reporting at Industrial High School, Ray Robinson, KAVU TV 25 News Now, Sports.
All right, another tri-match is also going on is at the Flyer Dome, where you have between the El Campo Ladybirds, Yoakum Bulldogs, and game 1 featured El Campo versus the Ladybirds. There's St. Joseph Flyers, where El Campo was battling all the way there from the beginning. It's all there in the first set. It was about 24 kind of to 18 range. Both teams made some big plays, as well as Malin Montgomery and Jordan Ybarra out there for St. Joe. And then some also, again, for El Campo, they got some big production there from the Libero as well. We still haven't gotten, again, all the final score updates. And again, also, Yoakum and El Campo played in game 2, and again, St. Joe and Yoakum will play in game 3. We'll give you all the updates later on for 25 News Now Sports at 10 p.m. Now, a game that just started over there at Victoria East. They have their home opener versus the Edna Cowgirls. Both these teams heading into this contest both know they got to get a big-time win going into this one. For East, they're at 3-7 overall. For Edna, they are at 0-6 overall. So for East, they're keeping an eye on senior middle hitter there, Lillian Rather. Also, Jade McIntosh is huge there to keep an eye on as well. Addison Temple and Ariana Cooley is back from injury there for Victoria East. It's going to be huge there for the Titans later tonight. As for the Cowgirls, keep an eye on Juliana Cooch and Avery Garcia in that contest. And again, I'll be at that one just after the newscast for 25 News Now Sports, 10 p.m. Give you all the highlights. And over to the Goliad Tigerettes. They're traveling out to Corpus Christi tonight, face the Cal Allen Lady Wildcats. The game's going to start there at 7 p.m. for Goliad. They're just getting some momentum after that Pearland tournament out there in the John Turner Classic where they went 4-2. So for Cal Allen, they head in this game 6-4 overall, and they're both teams trying to see if they can get a big-time win to help out those wins on the win column. Now over to Yorktown, where the Wildcats face the Tidehaven Tigers out there at Yorktown High School. For Yorktown, they start 0-3 right now. For Tidehaven, they head in this contest at 4-2 and see which one will get the win. And finally, the Shiner Comanches actually checked that switch are going to Hallettsville now. I forgot to switch on that, but both teams also are looking for big-time wins in this contest. The game just started there a little bit ago, and we'll see who will get the win there tonight. Over to Texas A&M Victoria baseball alum, where pitcher Mason Longoria, who previously played there for the Tucson Zagueros, out of the Pecos League. He now got promoted out to Grand Junction. A fun name to say, the Grand Junction Jackalopes. Yes, that is the name that he's heading out to out there in the Pioneer League. It's an MLB partner league there that he's going to head out to. He's going to join fellow pitcher and Julian Garcia, who also is playing for the Billings Mustangs. The two Jags players are in this league. So Longoria going there from the Pecos League. He had 14 appearances and he had 35 strikeouts and had 3 wins to help out their Zagueros there to win the Pecos League Championship. So he looks to bring that energy going into this season out there, now promoted up there to bigger status. And that's going to do it here in sports. Shauna, back to you.
We are back in a moment. Adorable and a little wild, how 2 new cubs of the Nashville Zoo are learning to pounce and why their playtime is about more than just fun. At the Nashville Zoo, 2 clouded leopard cubs are practicing their pouncing skills. Take a look at this. With the help of oversized eggs. The playful training has led to some adorable tumbles, as you can see. The 11-week-old brother and sister are named Joker and Quinn after the Batman characters. Clouded leopards come from Southeast Asia and are listed as vulnerable, mainly due to deforestation, poaching, and the pet trade. The Nashville Zoo is home to 14 of the 62 clouded leopards living in accredited zoos. Wow. And they're just absolutely adorable.
Just love how you just playing there with the...
It's like they have no idea that that egg is bigger than they are.
They just say, it doesn't matter, we're going for it.
Yes, so lots of fun.
Yeah.
Lots of fun to watch. Fun for them as well.
Always, always. And they're probably staying on the cool side of things. Yeah. The rain helped knock the temperature down today. That's what I kept hoping for. And we did get some. Tomorrow we'll start off the day with a little bit of sun, a little humidity. It'll warm up and then we'll pop more afternoon showers. The best chance really is Thursday, Friday as the tail end of a weak front starts sort of drifting into Texas, and that will enhance the shower chance. By the weekend, well, we get back to the same old stuff, you know, hot, humid, and 1 or 2 isolated afternoon showers. So I'm excited because it's the only way we're going to get a break in the intense heat. I'm telling you, yesterday, Monday, gosh, it was brutal out there.
Such a difference from yesterday and
Night
today.
and day. Precisely.
Yes, so we'll take it. So, thanks for joining us. We'll see you back here tonight for 25 News Now at 10. Until then, have a great evening.